yes, I know how to do this really, really well. Like I can build $1 million company and I can vision and I can create a bunch of widgets, but I don't know how to do this. Like nobody ever taught me. My parents and my caregivers, they didn't show me how to do this. Okay, so let's learn it. And then as a leader, imagine when you can take and internalize that empathy and compassion and understanding and unlearning and relearning for yourself, then being able to do that with your team and with the people you work with and the impact of that when they come to you and they're like, I don't know how to do this. I feel like I should be able to know how to do this. And you say, well, I get it. Well, there's stuff I don't know how to do. So let's just sit down and figure it out together.
Overwhelm, reaction mode, and just keeping up are the old way.
You need real, root-level strategies and practical steps to grow your business or ministry without exhaustion and burnout.
Hi there, we're Anna Saucier
And Megan Gephardt,
best friends and business consultants who help faith-filled women create sustainable growth through simple strategy with a people-first approach.
Here at Apostolic Fruit, we hope to offer you clarity, support, accompaniment, and healing,
one tiny step at a time.
Hello and welcome back to the Apostolic Fruit Podcast. You have both of us here today, both Megan and myself, Anna Saucier, and we want to share with you about our first ever in-person retreat, the Rest Boldly Retreat. Just in general, like our takeaways from it, what was beautiful, what was unexpected, and we're just going to dive right into that conversation. Hi, Megs.
hello. Excited to be here.
It's been a while since we've been on a
podcast together.
episode together.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and this is one of those I'm very excited to share about because I feel like we went inward as we were preparing so much for this retreat and deeply present with the women that were there and serving them. And there's so much integration and processing that happened for us and for all the women as we came out of that space. So now we're coming in and we're hosting another one in February, and we're starting to share more about that experience and inviting people into the next one. So it feels really good to be able to integrate and also share these little nuggets of gold and pieces of wisdom and different common threads that emerge for everyone there.
Yeah, and let's talk about the most powerful and obvious thing. You know, I've been working online and remotely for 20 years, and most of my clients and most of my work has been remote. It's been over Zoom. It's been, not touching and feeling the person. And in-person is just so, so good. And I know most of us, particularly in the past 5 years, have experienced less in-person work. And it was just so fruitful to be able to touch and feel and speak and laugh and be together in those spaces, whether we were doing harder, deeper inner work or whether we were belly laughing because we had a professional comedian in our group this past time. And it was just so meaningful to be in a beautiful place in Guatemala and then to be there together with other women. And because of the personal in-person connection, it also allows for the deeper, more vulnerable presence that is more fruitful work, essentially. When you're in person, there's a realness and a rawness and a vulnerability to it. And that opens up space for us to, as women, support each other in the deeper way that we really, really need it. And we don't often get that from the spaces that we're in. It's harder to do that virtually. We're just head down trying to get the work done. And we need those open, raw, real human spaces.
Yeah, I mean, there were many moments, I would say, in the retreat where we're individually holding space for someone and they're moved to tears in what we're working through together, and then we're able to hold them as they cry. And like, you can't do that when you're on a Zoom call. We can hold the space the best that we can, and it is just deeply meaningful to be able to be with someone in that way. And the depth, like you said, Anna, the depth and the layers that we can go to in person. There is that real room I feel the Lord can open up when we know we're going to be held and we can create that safe space for it.
Yeah, we can speak to a lot of the common things that people were coming in with. And these are deeper layers. It's not like, hey, give me a strategy for the next quarter, which we do that work too. But a lot of these things are much deeper. They are patterns like struggling with hesitancy and visibility, imposter syndrome, confidence, all kinds of fears across a full spectrum. And that's essential work when we're talking about business ministry, leadership, producing our impact in the world. Those are the things we deeply need to work on, and they are deeper things. And so we need these deeper places of vulnerability so that we can bring those out into the open and unshame them. And it's also a really cool takeaway of just things that we saw where so many of the same things were present in only 6 people there. And across these 6 people, we have these same struggles. We also had a full spectrum of where people are at in their business and ministry. We had people who have run million-dollar businesses, and we had those who haven't even started yet. And so many of the same patterns. And when those women experiencing the same internal things while having vastly different experiences externally are able to see and witness and support one another, it's really friggin' powerful.
Yes. And to see and know and have the experience of, in a very visceral way, I am not alone, right? And that these are normal human experiences. And it's not that there's something wrong with me or whatever. So just normalizing those struggles. And I agree with you just how powerful it is to see someone who you may have assumed like, oh, they're so much farther along than me. Because maybe in their external work, it looks like that. They're running a way bigger, externally successful mission. And I'm in a big transition stage, leaving what I did before. And I'm starting my work and I'm actually figuring out what the heck God is even calling me to do and how this all is meant to come together. And I feel like she's so much farther along than me. And yet she's struggling with these same internal things that I have had coming up. And there's just layers of that in every new season. And so that is also very powerful.
Yeah, it helps to heal that. And I think with every one of our attendees, they experienced a certain level of, do I belong here? Is this the place for me? And when we can come in and, like you said, just be together in these normal internal things that are going on, it helps to heal all of those. Those are really distractions. They're really distractions from our work when we get all this stuff going on internally. And not that there's anything wrong with those experiences. What's more important is to recognize those things are always going to come up. They're normal. We move through them. They don't have to mean a whole lot. When we go out there and we belong in the world because we're human beings who God has called to do something, not because we have anything to prove or not because we have all the answers. And I want to tie our realizations or her learnings back to the theme of the retreat, which was to rest boldly, meaning to just come back to ourselves and to come back to that meaning, that purpose that God has given us in the world, to have it be validated by other women, to come back to the presence and awareness of what it is internally, and then allow that to emerge, to become fruit that then just comes out from that peacefulness, from that restfulness. And I know you wanted to speak to as well, like how all that external stuff, fruit flows from the internal work.
Yeah. That's exactly where I was going to share next. First of all, if we ignore the internal, it will catch up with us eventually, right? Or we won't be able to even have capacity to hold the external growth once it hits a certain point. And at the same time, we don't have to wait until then. We don't have to wait until we're so focused externally and now like, oh gosh, I'm going to have to focus now internally on getting my stuff together or getting myself together or whatever we may feel, right? Figuring out this mess so that I can grow more externally as a leader, be more successful. But we can start by just beginning internally even, no matter where we are, and letting that guide the external. So that's exactly what we did. The first day, we started with a lot more of the internal awareness. And everyone, of course, came in with different places that they wanted to work on and knew that they wanted to grow in and have space held for them in and some of those deeper blocks and whatever it was. So we helped them bring that forward. But then we also allowed for the internal to flow into the external in the next day because we started to shift into guiding the vision and the strategy from the awareness of how do I actually want to feel in this work? How do I actually want to feel in the integration of my work and the rest of my life or my family life or whatever it is? And so that internal gets to then guide the vision and all the goals that go with it, the strategy, the practical action steps, the boundaries, all of those pieces. So everything that we do out there always has the roots internally. And we asked them that question as we were on a hike. And we were like, how do you want to feel and operate as you move forward? And then later as we get back, we ask them, okay, what would it look and feel like to live that out? If I were embodying this way of being, then what would flow from it naturally in my work? What would flow from it naturally in my leadership? And so then it becomes a fruit. And then going a layer deeper, what's a daily even or a weekly micro practice that would help support me in feeling that way? Or what's an external action that reflects this? And we had this really powerful takeaway from one of our retreat members who, as we're sharing and we're integrating and reflecting back to each other, she shared, okay, that exercise you had us do, like, how do I want to feel as I lead and work? So this is what came up for me. And through the different things that we engage with in the retreat, she said, if I physically move, I will be able to emotionally move. And if I spiritually move, I will be able to feel my emotions. And if I were emotionally moved, my work will flow and flourish. And we were like, okay, that's a mic drop moment. And it was so beautiful. It moved us all to tears, basically, because this is that real sense of integration, right? It's like, okay, I'm physically moving and I'm emotionally moving and I'm spiritually moving, and being moved, my work flows. And whatever cultural change I want to lead in the world, whatever massive vision that I have, in order for that to flow and flourish, there needs to be movement and there needs to be room for that movement. And we can create that by allowing these things to flow more that can tend to get blocked up. We're so focused either on external, but ignoring the internal or whatever it may be.
Yeah. And many times, both of us in the past, and we see this in clients where there is this internal disconnection, disorientation with between the body and the mind, the emotions, the spiritual life. They're kind of in these silos, or we put things aside to get things done, to move it forward, and to pause that and to go in and to be present to the disconnection and to face like, yeah, I don't feel my body, or I don't know how to feel emotions, or I haven't cried in a year, and to make these realizations and then to be present to that and to wonder what to do next and to learn something new, especially for a leader who's really damn good at what they do. You've got this gift and you're making things happen. That's the boldness here too. It's bold and courageous to pause and to look at these things, to set aside whatever feelings are around rest. Do we feel guilty for stopping, for leaving the family, for going to do something for ourselves, for getting a massage or whatever it is? To pause and to come and to look at these deeper things. Even when we know it's fruitful, when you know it's good and it's going to help you to integrate more fully internally in order to produce that external fruit, it's important to recognize how difficult and how bold and how courageous that is to do. But man, I can't say it enough, how powerful and good it is to have a space, to step into a space like a retreat like this, where it's okay to not be okay, where we celebrate tears, where you can fall apart, where you don't have to be the strong one like you do every other day with the kids and the team and the mission and the board and the community leaders, whoever you're working with. And it's not only good, it's necessary. If this is going to be sustainable, it's absolutely necessary. And I think sometimes it takes stepping away. And the people who experienced the retreat here, we also were able to give them not just that experience, but okay, what do I do now? Or how do I take this out and take it back into real life? Because we've all been on retreats before where okay, this feels great. And then you have this hangover when you come home of like, none of that I can bring into my life. It's just not doable. It doesn't even translate. And that's not very helpful. But our aim, and I think we did it successfully, is to provide those tools and to provide an ongoing plan, an integration plan. And one of our takeaways as the leaders of it is that we're going to do even more of that in our following retreats. We're extending the time so that we have a full day of integration to be able to make those intentional plans for going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And you spoke to this disconnection from the body and the challenge of how do I rest without guilt. One piece that was really interesting in that too was that we often were engaging with them in reflection about their relationship with rest. And a lot of them were noticing, okay, I either have a hard time prioritizing it because there's no space for me I'm tending to everyone else's needs or it's crowded out by everyone else. But then there's also this dynamic of waiting until they hit a point of collapse or almost like a breaking point or a shutdown point before they rest. And we were helping them to get to the left of that, like way farther to the left of that, and much more proactive by moment helping them to tune into what do I need right now? And many of them, they're never asked that. Like, what do you need? Right? It's just tending everyone else's needs. And we're helping them to also learn to ask themselves that question. And so it's kind of the layer by layer of that, but really starting to learn their own rest cues and in all different kinds of forms of rest. The rest is not just a passive lying down, I'm going to take a nap. That's a wonderful thing, and we might need that. And maybe you need a really long nap. It was very sleep deprived, but at the same time, there's so many different forms of rest. And so we were working with a lot of those forms and helping everyone to discern even throughout the retreat, what do I need? What forms of rest are going to actually be most supportive for me right now based on where and how I'm depleted?
Yeah, these great little papers that Megan made of like, what do I need and how to evaluate what I need? I mean, it sounds silly, but we need to go back to kindergarten on some of these things.
Yeah.
When I don't know what I need, how do I figure it out? And a menu of rest to be these different kinds of what am I feeling? And does that mean I need creative rest or social rest or sensory rest or physical rest? And it's rest boldly back to kindergarten, really.
Yeah.
And it was so
Yeah. And it is place of permission because we had some of these things come up from some different leaders. Often we can have this dynamic of, I'm not going to do anything that I'm not going to be successful in. And so you're so used to being really good at everything that you do because anything you're not good at, you're just not going to do and you don't choose to do that. And that's very natural. And I think especially for high achievers, that's kind of the mode that you're in. And so when it comes to something that is like pushing the envelope of your comfort zone and you're like, man, I have to be a beginner in this. Like, I feel like I should know this already, or I should have all the answers or have it all figured out, or why am I not way farther along in this? Or this feels like it should be simple, but it's so hard for me. And so it's this place of permission for a lot of people. And we can also apply the same skills that you are really good at in these other areas. Like, how can we apply that in this area that you feel like a beginner in? And can we let that be okay? Also, that you are a beginner. And it doesn't have to mean anything about you or your worth or your leadership or any of those things, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Jesus would never judge us for being a beginner. Like, you don't know how to pray? Okay, here's how we pray. Our Father who art in heaven, right? He does.
Yeah.
It's not like we should know that just because we were created by God doesn't mean we'd know how to pray. And so, why wouldn't the same thing apply in this situation? And you think of the fruit of that as well, when we can come in and be truly compassionate and understanding with ourselves in that, yes, I know how to do this really, really well. Like, I can build $1 million company and I can vision and I can create a bunch of widgets, but I don't know how to do this. Like, nobody ever taught me. My parents and my caregivers, they didn't show me how to do this. Okay, so let's learn it. And then as a leader, imagine when you can take and internalize that empathy and compassion and understanding and unlearning and relearning for yourself, then being able to do that with your team and with the people you work with, and the impact of that when they come to you and they're like, I don't know how to do this. I feel like I should be able to know how to do this. And you say, well, I get it. Well, there's stuff I don't know how to do. So let's just sit down and figure it out together. And how much of an impact that makes on your leadership and the ripple effect of that.
Yeah. So good. One interesting theme that emerged for everybody also was that they all felt like they were playing small. And in some way or another, and that was different for every person, but every single one of them, we had asked them, I don't remember exactly even how we asked the question, but basically all of them were like, yes, I'm playing small. And then we asked them a follow-on question, what areas are you playing small? And some of them were literally like everywhere in all caps. I mean, that was the feeling of it. And so I just want to reflect that back to you of like, they recognized that they were playing small, and maybe you are too. And we were having a conversation even internally yesterday, like there are these areas we have been playing small. And so just that awareness, I think, is really important. And what are the patterns around that? What are the fears or what are the threads? And what are those places that the Lord is inviting us into a new layer of leadership and trust and kind of the edginess of it at the same time.
Yeah. And over and over and over again.
Not a one and done thing.
No, yeah, this is one of the most important things to shift and to do differently is we can often have this expectation of, okay, I'm not getting it. Something's wrong. Let me get some help. It'll help me. And then I'll do it on my own again until I absolutely need support. However, and that can work in some things, but when we are trying to do this whole thing differently, when we don't want to be on the roller coaster, the hamster wheel, whatever analogy you want to use forever, but you actually want to do it from restfulness and from peace and from this internal congruence and integrity, you're going to need that reinforcement over and over and over again. It's not a one and done thing. It's not wired into my brain. It's about your whole system unlearning and then relearning a different paradigm.
Yeah, it's very much a detoxing process. And the relearning, it's a deconditioning and then a new kind of conditioning. Yeah. The last thing kind of ties with the playing small, but we saw there was other threads that were coming up for everyone around the worthiness of pursuing their desires and dreams and also receiving. Again, worthiness of receiving support, that longing for more, whatever that more is really, really important to take the space and time to listen to with curiosity, with openness, and to discern with the Lord. And those places that have felt especially unsustainable to you or where you're like, you know what? I don't even know what I need, but I just know I have not been listening to my needs, or I've been bypassing my needs to try to just get everything done and make things happen and grow as fast as possible, or just more than I'm growing right now, or whatever it might be. But those places where you have unmet needs, you have desires that haven't had space to come forth yet, or there's untapped potential and you feel stifled in these ways, like those things are all so important to listen to. And it's often very, very hard to do that in our day-to-day without really intentionally carving out the space. So that's what this kind of experience can also offer, is you have a protected space held for that. And you have
a beautiful space, an inspiring space.
You have permission to go there, and you have the support then for like the layers that also come up around that. And so that was just really beautiful to witness and to receive each other in. And we saw, it was incredible just how much everyone was serving one another. Everyone has such tremendous gifts and is so brilliant and so good at what they do. And we often downplay our own gifts, or we don't even see our own gifts. And when we get to reflect that back to each other and serve each other in those places, it's just so profound. And so we just saw that, witnessed it unfolding, and the Lord's grace and movement and all of those things throughout. Yeah, gives me goosebumps even thinking about it.
When you're in it, it feels so natural. And I think because in our modern world, we take those gifts and we turn them into businesses and strategy and all of these structural things that fit inside our economic world. But those are natural ways of being, especially with each other as women, to share our gifts and to support one another where, oh, you don't have that, I have this. And we can do that. It's a little slice of heaven with other women. So keep an eye on our spaces. If you're listening to this podcast episode, look for the next retreat, and you can be part of this experience as well. We'd love to serve you in that way.
We hope you loved today's episode. If so, would you take a moment to share it with a friend?
If you haven't already, come connect with us human to human at apostolicfruit.com/connect. When you're ready, we'd love to support you more deeply.
May the Lord bless you and keep you, make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you,
and turn his face toward you and give you peace.